Can you hear me all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the last class, we have talked about queue data structure, and we saw how a linear queue data structure works. Okay, and we have also talked about the different operations which can be performed on a queue. Okay, linear queue. So today we will be talking about circular queue, where we will see that if we extend the linear queue uh, in terms of by adding the rear end of the queue to the front end of the linear queue, then we could have another structure of the queue or another variant of the queue. So that to be called circular queue. Okay, circular queue or we can say that ring buffer. Okay, so another name of the circular queue is ring buffer. So, how the circular queue works? So, let us look at some vital points about circular queue. So, it is the circular queue is more efficient queue representations when it is represented by an array. Okay, so we can have the more efficient queue representation than linear queue, which is called circular queue. Okay, now we will assume that the index of the array increases in clockwise direction except the index max q size minus 1. Okay, so here if we look at this circular structure or the ring structure, then we will see that we can start from the index 0. Okay, so clockwise the element to be inserted, that means if we start from 0, then the first element to be inserted at 0th position. Okay, then second element will be inserted the first 1th position or first position. Then we can have the other elements which are to be inserted in clockwise direction. Okay, so here max q size minus 1 is the maximum size of the circular queue. Okay, so that means if we have a linear queue, and in the linear queue we have the front end, okay, where we delete the elements. Okay, and we have the rear end. At the rear end we can insert the new elements. Now if we join this front end of the queue with the rear end of the queue, then we can have a new structure which is called the circular queue. Okay, or we can say the ring buffer. So in this ring buffer we can insert the elements in clockwise direction. So initially when the circular queue is empty, then front and rear will point to the 0th index position. Okay, so now when the new elements to be inserted in clockwise direction, the rear position will be changed. However, the front position will not be changed. So whenever some elements to be deleted from the beginning of the circular queue, then some positions at the beginning will be found to be empty. Okay, so in this circular queue, when the maximum size is reached, that means the if we found the last element to be inserted at the max q size minus 1th position. Okay, that means the last position, then the queue is found to be full, or circular is found to be full. However, some positions will be some positions will be found available at the beginning, because some elements are deleted from the beginning. Let's say there are 4 elements which are deleted from the front end of the circular queue. Okay, now since these positions are already vacant, so here we have the 0, 1, 2, 3. So these index positions are found to be empty or found to be available. Now, since the maximum size of the queue is reached, therefore we can insert the new elements at the beginning. That means we have the four available positions. So in these four available positions, we can uh, these four available positions can be utilized to insert the new elements. Okay. So this is the advantage of the circular queue over linear queue. Because in the linear queue, whenever we delete the elements from the front end, that means if we delete some elements at the beginning after reaching the maximum size of the queue in the linear queue, then we cannot utilize the available positions which are found at the beginning. So therefore, the advantage of circular queue is that after reaching the maximum size of the queue, if some positions are still available at the beginning, we can insert the new elements at these positions. Okay, because the queue is the circular queue, and since it is the circular ring structure or the ring buffers, then we can have some positions vacant at the beginning. So at these positions, available positions, we can insert the new elements. So every element in the array has one clockwise and anti-clockwise neighbor. That means if we consider any elements, any ith element in the circular queue, then that ith element will have one clockwise and one anti-clockwise neighbor. Okay, and the indices of the clockwise and anti-clockwise neighbors of the ith element of the array will become I plus one, this modulo max q size. Okay, and I minus one modulo max q size. So these are the clockwise and anti-clockwise neighbors of the ith element of the array in the circular queue. Okay. So as we saw that rear points to the element which is at the rear end of the queue, and front points to the anti-clockwise neighbors of the beginning of the queue. So here we can have the same. We can have the similar. We can have the similar concept of rear and front positions. However, here we have the here we do the queue to be circular. Okay, and when the initially when the queue is found to be empty, then the rear and front to be initialized to 0. That means when the circular queue is found to be empty, we can initialize the rear and front both to be 0. Okay. Now, how the elements will be inserted to circular queue, or the how we can add the new elements to circular queue. So the idea is that first we will check whether the queue is found to be empty or not. Okay, so here what we will check. So when the some new elements to be inserted, or some new elements to be added to the circular queue, we will check whether we have reached the maximum size or not. Okay, so if we reach the maximum size of the circular queue, then we will see if there are any available positions which are found at the beginning of the circular queue or not. If some positions are available at the beginning, then only we can add the new elements to the circular queue. Otherwise, if the positions are found at the rear end of the circular queue, then obviously we can insert or we can add new elements to the circular queue. Okay, so here we are defining a function which is called add to circular queue. Okay, so add to circular queue, this function is defined, and here we can see that the item is used for the elements to be added to the circular queue, and here queue is a pointer which will be type of queue. Okay, So here is uh, T is the T referred to the index position where the new elements to be inserted. So here we are writing T equals to q real plus 1, okay, and modulo max q size. Okay, that means this statement or this uh, so this index position will refer to the refer to the position in the circular queue where the new element to be inserted. Now, if t is found to be equal to q front, then this function will return 0. So here, if we see that the q front is found to be equal to the index position, which is referred by the neighboring element. Okay, then the function will return to 0. Otherwise, what we will do? We are writing q real equals to t. Okay, that means here the new elements item to be inserted at the position which is referred by this statement t equals to q real plus 1 modulo max q size. Okay, so this statement will refer to the position in the circular queue where the new element item to be inserted or item to be added. Okay, so in the next line, q elements q real equals to item. Okay, so this statement t equals to q real plus 1 modulo max q size. So this statement is important to have the new element at the positions in clockwise direction of the circular queue. Okay. The next function is the delete circular queue, where we delete the elements from the circular queue. Okay. Now here we keep a checking where we check whether the queue front is found to be queue rear or not. Okay. So whenever we will see that queue front is found to be queue rear, that means queue is found to be empty. So when the queue is found to be empty, we cannot delete the elements from the circular queue. Okay. Otherwise, if q front not equals to not found to be equal to q rear, then we refer the elements which is to be deleted from the circular queue. That means this q front equals to q front plus 1 modulo max q size. So this statement will refer to the element which is to be deleted from the circular queue. Okay, and then we are writing star item equals to q elements q front. Okay, so this element which is to be inserted. So first the first statement q front equals to q front plus 1 modulo max q size. So this statement will refer to the position from where the element to be deleted. Okay, and next we get the element which is to be deleted from the circular queue. Okay, so initially what we are checking when whether the queue is empty or not. If the queue is not found to be empty, then we go for the deletion of the element. Before we refer the element, we need to refer the position from where the elements to be deleted. Then we get the element which is to be deleted. Now we will be talking about the linked list implementation of a queue. Okay. Now as we know that the linear in the linear linked list, the linear linked list is pointed to by the head pointer. That means the head pointer will point to the entire linked list by pointing to the first node of the linked list. So here when we will implement a queue using linked list or single linked list, then what we will do, we uh, we will take the two pointers. Okay, so one pointer is called the front pointer, another is the rear pointer. Okay, and front pointer will point to the first node of the linked list. So here we can see there are four nodes A, B, C. Okay, and the first node A which is to be pointed to by front pointer. Okay, and another pointer will be there which will point to the last node of the linked list. Okay, so this pointer will be called the rear pointer. So here the front pointer will point to the first node of the linked list, and rear pointer will be point to the last node of the linked list, and the entire linked list will be pointed to by the front pointer. Now to implement a queue using linked list, we need to define two structure. Okay, so first structure, name of the first structure is the queue elements. Okay, and the second structure is queue. So in the queue elements there will be two members. One is the item. Okay, so that means the data part will be identified by this variable item. Okay, and another member is the next pointer. So next pointer will be type of queue elements. So queue elements is the name of the structure, and next pointer will be type of queue elements. Okay, and another structure variable. So this is the self-referential structure. Therefore, we have a structure variable queue elements which will be same as that of the structure name. Okay, and here we define another structure which is called queue. So in queue structure we have two members. One is called the front pointer, and another is called the rear pointer. Both these pointers will be type of queue elements. Okay, and we have taken another structure variable q, which will be same as that of the structure name q. Okay, so whenever we try to implement a queue using singly linked list, we need to define these two structures. Now when we will add a new node in the linked list, that means in terms of adding the new node, we will add a new element, or we will insert a new element in the queue. Okay, so here queue is represented by a single linked list. So therefore when we will insert the new element, or we will insert a new node in the linked list, so we need to first allocate the memory for the new node. Okay, so that is why we are writing here t equals to q elements star malloc. So this malloc function is used to allocate a memory space for the new node. Okay, now this new node will be pointed to by t. So here t item is initialized by t item is assigned by x. So here x is the data part of the new node. Okay, then we are making t next equals to null. So by making t next equals to null, we have been completed the creation of the new node. Okay, and then we will keep a checking where we will check whether the queue front is found to be null or not. So after creating a new node for the new data item, then we will check whether the queue front is found to be null or not. So here the queue front is found to be null. So by checking this condition, we will check whether the linked list, whether the queue is empty or not. That means whether the queue is exist or not. Okay. So by checking queue front equals to null, if the if this if the queue front is found to be null, then we can make queue front equals to t. Okay, and queue rear equals to t. That means here by making q front equals to t and q rear equals to t, that means the new node which has been created will be pointed to by both front pointer and rear pointer. Okay, that is why we are writing q front equals to t and q rear equals to t. Okay, when q front will be found to be null, here q front, the front pointer will be considered as the same as that of the head pointer, where the head pointer will point to the entire linked list by pointing to the first node of the linked list. Okay, so if the q front is not found to be null, then we can make q rear next equals to T. What is Q rear? So here we can see that Q rear, here points to the last node. So whenever the new item will be added in terms of by adding the new node, so the new node will be inserted after the last node of the linked list. So here the last node is the D node, okay, and node D is pointed to by rear pointer. So therefore, what we will do, we will make Q rear next equals to T, okay. So Q rear next equals to T means the next of the Q rear node will be set to T, okay, will be set to T. That means the pointer of the last node will point to the new node. That is why we are making Q rear next equals to T, and then we are making Q rear equals to T. That means now the rear pointer will be advanced, and when the rear pointer will be advanced, the rear pointer will point to the last node. That means the newly inserted node. So here T is the newly inserted node. First we connect, or first we link up the last node of the linked list with the new node by making Q rear next equals to T. Then we are advancing the rear pointer so that it will point to the last node. Newly inserted node is the last node. So therefore, by making Q rear equals to T, the rear pointer will point to the newly inserted last node. Now, when we have this linked list implementation of a queue, where we can see that there are four nodes, okay. So four nodes are there in the linked list. Now whenever some node will be deleted from the linked list or the queue, then we need to first check whether the queue front is found to be null or not. So when the queue does not exist, then we cannot delete any node or any item from the linked list or the queue, okay. So here whenever the queue is not found to be empty, then we can make T equals to queue front. So what does this mean, T equals to queue front? So since the elements to be deleted from the front, so here the front pointer points to the first node of the linked list, okay. And since the elements to be deleted in the queue from the front end, therefore the first node needs to be deleted, okay. So here, that is why we are making T equals to Q front. So now we save the front pointer into T. So T is the another pointer variable of type Q elements. Okay. So by writing T equals to Q front, now the first node will be pointed to by T. Now we are writing Q front equals to Q front next. Okay. So first we save the front pointer to another pointer variable T. Okay. Then we advance the front pointer, or we set the front pointer so that the front pointer will point to the second node. That means the node B. So here we advance the front pointer, or we set the front pointer such a way so that the front pointer will point to the second node. Okay, that is why we are writing Q front equals to Q front next. Okay, then we are writing star A equals to T item. So what does this mean? So this means this is the pointer variable. A here is the pointer variable which will contain the address of the value. Okay, or address of the data item. Okay, so here we are making star A equals to T item. So what does this mean? Star star A equals to T item. So that means the elements which is the data item which is to be deleted from the first node, so that to be referred by this A star equals to T item. Okay. Now if Q rear equals to T, now if Q rear equals to T, that means if the Q rear is found to be T, that means the data item which is to be deleted, or the node which is to be deleted, then we will make Q rear equals to null. Okay. And Then we free the memory space which was allocated for the node which is now pointed to by t. Okay, now we free the memory space by writing the function free of t. Okay, so by writing this function we can deallocate the memory space which was allocated for the first node of the linked list. Okay, you have any questions from this part? If you have any questions you can ask me now, otherwise we will stop now and we will start a new topic in the next class.
So can you please upload the presentation and the videos in Moodle?
Okay, okay. I will upload. I will upload today. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay, that's all for today.
Thank you, sir.